On June 12th, Israel began its devastating Operation Rising Lion against Iran. Several key Iranian officials were killed, with many of its nuclear sites also being targeted. Iran responded. Massive missile strikes over the weekend battered Israel. In Iran, 224 civilians have already been killed, according to CNN. Iran's missiles have damaged central Israel's power grid. War is upon the Middle East. And that leaves us with a question. What is the worst-case scenario that could come out of the war between Israel and Iran? That's the question the BBC posed on June 14th, and it came up with 5 potential scenarios, each with massive implications for Israel, Iran, and the rest of the world. The first scenario is simple. The United States decides to get involved. That's something that the US doesn't want to do, at least if the denials it issued right after Israel launched Operation Rising Lion are anything to go by. Within hours of Israel's initial attacks, US Senator Marco Rubio was denying any sort of US involvement. "We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region," Rubio stated in the wake of the strikes. "Let me be clear, Iran should not target US interests or personnel." While the statement was framed as a warning to Iran, Rubio's message reveals that the US doesn't want to be involved. It might not get its way. The BBC says that Iranian state TV is already lambasting the US for its past and current support of Israel, accusing it of being complicit in enabling Israel to launch an attack that has killed children. That's the last kind of rhetoric the US wants to hear. US President Donald Trump certainly wasn't happy. Just hours before Israel's strike, he said, "As long as I think that there will be an agreement, I don't want them going in." What agreement? Well, the US has spent the last couple of months talking with Iran to try to convince the country to halt its nuclear weapons development program. In Trump's own words, Israel's attack could blow these talks. Without those negotiations, the US may feel it has to follow through on the past threats to bomb Iran itself if it doesn't stop trying to build nuclear weapons. Then there are civilians to consider. On June 13th, Fox 4 KFDW News reported that several volunteer veteran-led groups were already working to get US civilians out of Israel as quickly as possible. They include Grey Bull Rescue and Project Dynamo, both of which the outlet says have deployed people on the ground. The former group is based in Florida and has already been involved in around 730 of these types of rescue missions around the world. Project Dynamo is deploying several teams into Israel to get Americans out of the country. The existence of these groups raises a clear problem. US citizens are in Israel. Consider what this could mean when it comes to US involvement in the war between Iran and Israel. Iran is already sending hordes of drones and ballistic missiles to Israel. What happens if one of those weapons kills a US civilian, or even a member of one of the evacuation groups? Could the US sit back and allow that to happen without any sort of response? Trump might be forced into action. And the US president is already suggesting that could be a possibility. On June 15th, ABC News reported that the Trump administration is reiterating that it had no involvement in Operation Rising Lion. But if Iran hurts US civilians or personnel, Trump suggests the US could be drawn into the fight. "We're not involved in it," ABC reported Trump as saying. "It's possible we could get involved, but we are not at this moment involved." It's possible, says Trump. And if the possibility turns into reality, it would turn what is currently a regional conflict into a global war. That may be what Israel wants. As Vox reported on June 13th, it's long been believed that a military strike capable of fully degrading Iran's nuclear weapons production potential would require US involvement. According to the New York Times, the US even rejected a proposed Israeli attack plan that the outlet says would have required US help not just to defend Israel from Iranian retaliation, but also to ensure that an Israeli attack was successful. Iran is already arguing the US is complicit, even if it isn't directly involved. According to American Friends Service Committee, or AFSC, the October 7, 2023 Hamas terrorist attacks against Israel served as a trigger for the US to start transferring enormous amounts of weapons to Israel. Between October 7th and December 25, 2023, the AFSC says the US sent 10,000 tons of weapons to Israel, including 15,000 bombs and 50,000 artillery shells. From October 2023 to March 24, the US approved over 100 military sales to Israel, with only 2 of those being publicly disclosed at the time. Add to that the $3.8 billion the US already provides to Israel's military annually, according to the AFSC, and you get a potential powder keg. The BBC points out that only the US has the bunker-busting bombs that could take out Iran's underground nuclear facilities. But it also delivers a warning. If America were to become an active combatant, that would represent a huge escalation with a long,